and said that Spears plans to take the necessary steps to comply with the law. Britney Spears scheduled to appear in court in May. Texas Republican Congressman Gonzales is dropping out of his primary runoff, and he's ending his re-election bid entirely. This decision comes after he admitted to having an affair with a former staffer who later died by suicide. House GOP leaders had urged him to step aside amid a House ethics investigation. Gonzales says he will serve out the rest of his term.
Good Day Chicago at 8 starts now.
And right now at 8 o'clock, the city of Chicago is saying its final farewells to a man who helped shape American history here. We are going to be live at the homegoing service at House of Hope with civil rights activist Reverend Jesse Jackson.
But first, this weather kind of matching that somber mood. Although we're happy, everyone's celebrating his life. As we see another day of dense fog in Chicagoland, Caitlin, it seems like we just can't shake it.
I know, soupy again. But this weekend is when we're really going to turn the corner. And clear out. But this morning, we're actually keeping an eye not only on the fog, but also on the line of thunderstorms that's chugging on into Chicagoland. So let's start there with our radar loop, where you can see the lightning strikes, heavy downpours, kind of a spring sound out there in McHenry County, DeKalb County, Kane County getting in on that rainfall now too. Let's take a closer look at the radar, where you can see Lake County starting to see some light showers in far western portions of Lake County, Illinois. McHenry, you have some heavy rain and some lightning around Harvard. Let's head a little further south, where you can see those pockets of heavy downpours, especially in the western half of DeKalb County. Lightning strikes. Kane County, yes, you have the heavy rain and lightning too. And then as we head even further south, the far northwestern portions of LaSalle County also getting in on that heavy rain. So this is our first round of rain and storms that we'll be moving through today. We're going to continue with the potential for rain and storms through the day and even into tonight and early tomorrow. But talking about that dense fog, we have a dense fog advisory in place until 10 a.m. because of the drops in visibility. I'll show you that visibility map in a few moments.
Okay, thank you, Caitlin. Appreciate it. Today, Chicago is saying goodbye to a civil rights legend and former presidents, celebrities, local leaders, thousands of members of the public, all expected to attend the homegoing services for Reverend Jesse Jackson.
And our Saquon is live at the House of Hope before doors open to the public, giving us that sneak peek, talking to the right people. Good morning, Say.
Hey, good morning to you guys. Yeah, just as you mentioned, we're just outside of House of Hope right now, and we really wanted to showcase this line for you this morning. You can see it kind of extends all the way past the satellite trucks over there. There's a huge showing of support this morning, and we are going to walk a little bit over this way just so we can make some extra room for some of these vehicles that are coming on through here as people are getting dropped off, of course, for the homegoing services that are open to the public today. I do want to introduce you this morning to Jim Bush. Jim is the president of Operation Push in Miami. You and Reverend Jackson are pretty close, actually, and I know that you were sharing some stories of you guys marching together and doing so much together. Tell me about those experiences and what that has been like.
Well, in 1986, I took over the leadership of Operation Push in Miami, Florida, and that's when I began to engage with Reverend Jackson with some of the boycotts that he called, national boycotts that he called, such as the Revlon boycott, hair products. The South Africa regime at that time was in place. We marched and protest against companies that was doing business with the South Africa regime, and that's how my engagement with the Reverend started.
Now, you talked about how of course, you talked about how you and Reverend obviously work together on so many issues. We have been trying to figure out, what is Reverend Jackson and what was he like behind closed doors? We only got to see such a small part when he was in the public eye, doing the outreach, doing the work, but behind closed doors, give us an idea of maybe what he was like.
No, very, the time that I had the privilege of being in his circle at the different churches, and when he came in and out of the Miami area, even when I came to the national conventions as the representative of Push, he was just a regular, normal person, very likable. He sometimes he would be funny. He had a wit about him that he was able to encapsulate, being able to say something in a very short, quick way, as opposed to people taking a long way of trying to express themselves. He was brilliant to me. I was just so fascinated with his ability to be able to articulate issues in a very brief and short way.
Yeah, I think you said that so perfectly. I think for a lot of people, just the few words, just maybe the 3 words that he said was powerful enough to get that message to resonate with them. Tell me about some of those quotes, and maybe a quote in mind that you will remember forever. That's something Reverend Jackson actually said.
One that I really like is 2. One, we don't want welfare, we want our share. And that's the one that I really like when he used to say, we don't want social generosity, we want economic reciprocity. And that just really captured me when he said we don't want social generosity, we want economic reciprocity. That means that we want to share in the American pie. We want to share in the resources that are on the table, such as the budget that comes to the state legislature, the budget that comes to Washington, D.C. We want our share of those dollars that's supposed to come back to those blighted neighborhoods. And I thought that was very profound when he used that term. We don't want social generosity, we want economic reciprocity.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Jim Bush, for us. Really appreciate your time. Thank you. People are traveling from near and far to come to remember Reverend Jesse Jackson. As you can tell by this line here, we've met people from Indiana. We've met people from just around here in Chicago as well. So you can see the line really ramping up here with celebrations set to kick off at 11 o'clock this morning. Guys.
All right, thank you very much. Lupe and Anita Blanton in the conversation here. You're going to kind of be leading our coverage of this service a little bit later in the morning. What is on your mind today for this historic day?
You know, thinking back through the many years, when you talk about a life and a legacy, this was a life well lived.
Yeah.
When we talk about Reverend Jesse Lewis Jackson Sr. And so today, a part of it will be heavy, of course. You know, I'm sure there will be tears that will be shed, even looking at kind of the order of the program and looking inside right now. You know, you can see them setting up there. I think House of Hope can hold about 10,000 people, okay?
Wow. Huge.
And so we know that with lines already forming and the doors don't even open for 45 more minutes, that place is going to be packed, but it is because, again, of a life well lived, and again, a moment of sadness, but also hope, right? I mean, we're sitting here as a Rainbow Coalition, and I just know that he would be so proud looking at us right now and seeing us doing what we're doing, and knowing that so many people have gathered from all around, near and far, to just remember him today.
What do you think of the magnitude of this thing? I understand there's some very, very high-profile guests that are going to be at House of Hope.
And here's the thing. High-profile guests from the United States and beyond.
Yeah.
You know, so there is the president of the Republic of Colombia. You know, I mean, yes, we have U.S. presidents, former U.S. presidents who will be there, several, but you also have, you know, a video message that's going to come from Gambia. You know, how many of us will be able to say when our life is done, when our days are done, that outpouring of support will come from all around in this nature. So, yeah, I'm kind of thinking about my time that I spent getting to know the Reverend over the years. I met him in college. We worked together on stories in 2 different states as I was kind of coming up in the business, but also just this moment in time. And, of course, my thoughts are with the family right now.
We look forward to your coverage. You're going to be joined by Tia a little bit later in the morning when this thing kicks off. Anita, thank you very much for previewing it with us. And stay with us all morning, everybody, as we bring you Reverend Jackson's service live. Again, doors open at 9, service kicks off at 11, and you can watch everything as it is happening right here on Fox 32 Chicago and on Fox Local as well.
Still ahead, I'm so excited for this. A simple haircut that became really a moment of history. Tia Ewing brings us a story of a Chicago barber who shared a very special final quiet moment with civil rights icon Jesse Jackson.
And we got more weather coverage as well on this day. But first, here is your 7-day outlook as we head to break. We'll be right back.
What are you girls doing?
We're doing all the heating, plumbing, and electric around here.
All right, I know you girls know stuff, but let's leave it to our trusted local experts. Let's call Four Seasons.
It's about time you figured it out.
Whether it's heating, cooling, plumbing, electric, air duct cleaning, or generators, you can always trust Four Seasons.
For all the right reasons, call 866-4 Seasons.
sure and I approve this ad.
All right, welcome back, everybody. 8:12. Here's a look at some of the top stories we are following for you today.
Of course, today, Chicago saying goodbye to civil rights legend Reverend Jesse Jackson. We're expecting a lot of big names, as we said. We just heard from Anita at today's service at House of Hope, including former presidents Barack Obama, Joe Biden, and Bill Clinton. Our team is there, and we'll have you covered all morning long for these events.
Okay, question is, what is the weather going to be like for this historic day here in Chicago? Caitlin, what do we know? I see some stuff coming in on the radar from it looks like from the southwest.
Yeah, exactly right. So we do have fog over the city right now. It's quiet in Chicago proper, but Chicagoland, we do have some storms moving in, as Anthony just mentioned. So let's start with that radar loop because I want to show you where the heavy rain is coming down. You could also see gusty winds up to about 40 miles per hour with this line of thunderstorm activity pushing into portions of DeKalb County where it is the strongest, but also McHenry County. You have scattered rain and a little bit of thunder activity, the very southernmost part of McHenry County, pushing into Kane County too. LaSalle County, you have some thunderstorms moving into the very northwestern portion of your county. We will be tracking rain and storms not only this morning, but we have rounds of storms possible throughout the day today and even into tonight and early tomorrow. Talking about the dense fog, though, because if you look out your window, it might be hard to see. We have a dense fog advisory in place all the way through until 10 a.m. for all of Chicagoland because visibilities are dropping yet again. It is soupy out there for everyone. We're down to less than a mile in Aurora, Waukegan, Kankakee, Merrillville, Valpo. We have this dense fog throughout Chicagoland until, as mentioned, at least later this morning. But we are going to be keeping an close eye on the weather throughout the day today because of the rounds of thunderstorms that are possible. Looking at our futurecast, temperatures, I've been teasing this all week. It's going to feel really nice. Later on today, 4:15, and seeing a good mix of the 60s and the 70s outside. But we do have the chance for a few thunderstorms throughout the day, and it is possible that we have strong to severe thunderstorms today. So make sure that you are tuned in to the forecast throughout the day. Even tonight, this is 2 a.m., seeing some showers and some thunderstorms around. This is going to carry us into early tomorrow. So Saturday morning, we could see some stronger thunderstorms. Temperatures starting off the day in the 60s, and really we do expect to go down as the day progresses on Saturday, but it is going to be a lovely weekend after this rain and thunderstorm activity moves out to start off your day Saturday. I'll show you that on your full forecast ahead. Gabby.
All right, Caitlin, you already know that no one does St. Patrick's Day quite like Chicago, and this year it's no different. We're expecting upwards of 1 million people to pour into our city for festivities. We're talking parades, we're talking pubs, and of course, turning the Chicago River a certain pigment. Joni Folletto is here with us. Thank you so much from True Chicago. Here to talk about all the different ways to experience it. I can't believe it's almost, time for St. Patrick's Day. When we say that we do it big, I mean, how big are we really talking?
Yeah, St. Patrick's Day in Chicago is no joke. Like you mentioned, upwards of 1 million people pour out downtown for all the different festivities. There are hundreds of thousands of people just in the Chicagoland area that are from Irish descent, identify as Irish, so there's already this thriving community. But what I love about St. Patrick's Day is even if you're not Irish, I'm not Irish, I'm already feeling it. There's this camaraderie and this joy.
And no, you're making me think that I should have wore head to toe green today because you look rocking, girl. And also, I will say, it's not for the weak too, the St. Patrick's Day festivities. Most people, they look forward to the dyeing the river green. What's kind of the best way to experience that in your opinion?
Gosh, there's so many ways. I mean, if you're just downtown, you will see the river go green. So you can see it from different levels. There are all these great rooftop bars. The London House rooftop I absolutely love. During the river dyeing or even after, while the river is still green, you can go to any of those wonderful restaurants or bars along the river walk to see it again while it's happening or after. There's places like Pizzeria Portofino, eat a beautiful pizza, City Winery, Tiny Tap, get a drink. And what's really cool too is urban kayaks. This is on my bucket list. You can actually do a kayak tour on the day of the river dyeing, Saturday, March 14th. It's the one day that they have reservations open before they open again for the warm season. So you can get in the Green River.
Also, I will say, even if you just want to walk downtown, people watching is great on that morning.
It's like a festival. It's, so exciting.
It's absolutely crazy. Would you say for most of these things, do you have to get tickets ahead of time, or is it a somewhat you can walk up to some of these bars and maybe get a seat in there, or, or
I guess you probably wouldn't get a kayak if you're not doing it now.
Yeah, I would recommend for some of these bars and restaurants, they do sell tickets. But again, just walking around downtown, like feeling it, like you will see the Green River. If you just walk up, even the next day, even for the next week, the Green River does stay green for, a couple years ago, it was green for like a month.
That's true.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's the
Some
St.
would say
Patrick's Day
maybe a little
season.
longer. Just kidding. No, it's cleaned up, guys. It's cleaned up. What about, I know that you're with Choose Chicago, because we're really talking about Chicago, but there's things really happening, it seems like, all over Chicagoland next weekend.
Yeah, it's not just the downtown festivities. I mean, there are great neighborhood activations all around the city as well. The Southside Irish Parade in Beverly is actually the largest community-based St. Patrick's Day celebration outside of Ireland. And if you talk to anyone from Beverly, you know that for sure.
It's just all a riot. It is all a riot. Actually, it's going to be so exciting for next weekend. Where can people go for some more details?
ChooseChicago.com has all the information on St. Patrick's Day activities. We also have our new podcast, All for the Love of Chicago. Our latest episode is all St. Patrick's Day.
Joni Folletto, I love your outfit. I love your energy. And let's get rocking this St. Patrick's Day. All right, more Good Day Chicago next. Stay with us. Yeah.
In the jails and a juvenile, and I have shops in 2 Walmart locations.
But the journey didn't begin with 12 schools. It started with a 13-year-old boy from Chicago who knew exactly what he wanted.
Let's talk about how we got here. When did you start cutting hair? How old were you?
I started cutting hair when I was 13 years old. I told my parents this is what I want to do. So at 17, I went to barber school. I was still a senior in high school.
Before middle school was over, he had already found his calling. Before most teenagers were thinking about careers, he was building one. And as his name grew, so did the rooms he was invited into. Not every haircut happened inside a barbershop. Some clients required privacy, trust, and discretion.
We have to touch everybody. Being a celebrity barber, servicing a lot of different clients, and you just never ever know the people who are looking at you, because they had to call me and ask me to cut the Reverend's hair.
One of the most defining moments of Robert's life happened quietly inside the home of civil rights icon Reverend Jesse Jackson. It would be the last time he ever cut his hair. A photo captured the moment, one that would mean even more later.
I was the last person to cut his hair, before he, transitioned. Definitely was an honor for me. I kind of kissed him on the top of his head, and told him I loved him, and he grabbed my hand. This particular time, he held it a little bit longer, I would say, and I just kind of felt something different at that time.
Roberts grew up listening to Jackson's speeches at Operation Push, hearing chants.
In a barbershop, we listen to that push, I am somebody and all of that, so, I go way back as it relates to that.
Those words stayed with Roberts.
What kind of impact did those messages have on you?
Well, the impact that they had on me is having a school on the 79th Street, having businesses and schools in the Wild Hundreds that I've been, around this area for almost 30 years now. Hearing him speak and talk about certain things gave me more empathy and compassion for the people that come in, asking for a job. It just kind of gave me more empathy and compassion for helping people outside of the $2 or $3, not just giving them a job or not just giving them $5 or $10, but what can I do in order to help you to be self-sustainable?
That compassion he learned decades ago is now taking physical shape. A brand new ground-up trade school, part of his Larry's Barbershop brand, rising from the soil of Chicago's Washington Heights neighborhood.
So you see how it's graduated right there? Yep. You want that to be able to graduate all the way from here.
For the past year, Robert served as Jackson's barber, and with that came an up-close and personal view as Jackson's health slowly declined.
What made you know that was the last time?
I think it was like a vibe, because when I was turning to walk away, they pretty much said, hey, the Reverend wants you. And that's when he reached out his hand and I grabbed his hand and he kind of held it really, really tight. And something seemed different, right? But this particular time I kind of, hugged him, and it was kind of that interaction just kind of let me know, maybe the time was nearing.
The haircut didn't come with a price tag, because for Larry Roberts Jr., being in the room with Reverend Jesse Jackson wasn't about money. It was about service, honoring a man whose voice lifted generations for a lifetime.
Absolutely. Absolutely. If they would have tried to give me anything, I would have left it behind or whatever, because you couldn't pay me, because they could have called anybody else to service this man. They could have called anybody else, but they called me, and it was definitely an honor. It was my pleasure, and it was definitely a joy to be able to service him.
Oh, what a moment for him. What an honor for him. That was Tia Ewing reporting. And Roberts will be attending Jackson's private homegoing. That is happening tomorrow. Today's public one, that starts in about 2.5 hours. And after the break, we are going to be checking in live with our crew at House of Hope as we get closer and closer to doors opening. And Caitlin, I know a lot of folks are lining up right outside House of Hope. What kind of weather are they contending with?
Well, right now it's dry. We've got foggy skies, perhaps some mist or drizzle out there, but showers and thunderstorms are rolling on in from the west. We have thunderstorms currently in LaSalle County, DeKalb County, all the way up into McHenry and Kane County. Coming up, I'll take a closer look at the radar, show you where we have the best potential for those thunderstorms over the next few hours, too. Stay with us.
Thomas Fisher and I approved this ad.
Welcome back. All right, to say the least, this week has been quite the whirlwind, which means we have a lot to talk about with Fox News Sunday host Shannon Bream.
Shannon, thanks for joining us. Let's start with the conflict in Iran here. President Donald Trump says that the U.S. and Israel are ramping up their operations, and new reports say the president now wants to be involved in picking Iran's next leader. Can you tell us what you see happening next?
Yeah, well, according to Secretary Hegseth, it is going to ramp up, and that we are being very specific in taking out all ballistic missile capabilities. You know, what gives Iran the ability to respond and fire on our bases in the region, our other allies in the region. And we don't know how long that's going to take. He says we're on our own timeline. But yeah, you're right. The president's been talking about he wants to pick the next leader or leaders who he says will rebuild that wonderful country, but without these nuclear programs and nuclear ambitions, even putting out on social media, MIGA, instead of MAGA, make Iran great again. I guess it's MIGA, I don't know. But he says he wants good things for the country and the people.
All right, Shannon, we also have to talk about what's happening closer to home because President Trump fired Kristi Noem on Thursday. Now, this is following criticism about her handling of immigration crackdown, etc. Can you talk about how we got here and who the president plans on nominating in her place?
Yeah, I think it was sort of death by 1,000 cuts. There was the $200 million ad campaign with her as kind of the star of the show. There were the tragic deaths of Renee Good and Alex Preddy in Minneapolis. That really was a horrible moment for the country. And she really had floundered in some of these congressional hearings. The president was not happy about her performance there. There have been a lot of rumblings in Washington that she doesn't get along well with some of the other members of the administration and kind of burn through any goodwill that she had. So it seemed like it was a matter of time. Now Senator Markwayne Mullin from Oklahoma is in the nomination process. There's already one Democrat, Senator Fetterman, who says he'll vote for him. And, you know, when you come out of the Senate, it's your colleagues who are voting on you. And so absent any surprises, it looks like Mullin will be confirmed.
Okay, another issue, and this broke overnight, is some more documents released in the Jeffrey Epstein document case and the investigation there. The DOJ has released some summaries, evidently, of an FBI interview with a woman who had accused President Trump of sexual abuse when she was a minor. Now, the president, I know he's denied any wrongdoing related to Epstein here. Clintons were called to testify before the House. They did it kind of in a private setting. Do we see that House testimony happening at this point at all?
Regarding the president, the current president, I mean, I think that there's part of him, if you're talking about him getting called in, there have been a lot of Democrats saying, why not? We interviewed President Clinton, why not President Trump? He's a sitting president, so I think he would have some slightly different legal arguments. But I've always thought there's part of President Trump that would like to take this head on. He very much wants to defend himself. And we know that in the millions of pages of documents, there are all kinds of accusations against all kinds of public figures. Many of them never panned out. The FBI goes through them and decides whether there's anything to chase down. And over the years, there are many, many of those allegations, including a lot of people that they felt were just completely without any evidence. I also think if the president decided that he wanted to testify, his legal team would say absolutely not, and they would fight it. So we'll see.
All right, Shannon Bream, thank you for joining us. We'll catch you on Sunday with all the latest news.
Have a great weekend.
Thank you, you too. And we have Anita Blanton joining us again. You know, Anita, to continue our conversation, because we know you're going to be extensively covering Reverend Jesse Jackson's service here soon. But you've had such great interviews on Chicago Live recently. Yesterday, you talked to, was it Jonathan Jackson, his son?
Congressman Jonathan Jackson. And, you know, I really wanted to know, one, just how the family is doing right now. It is something especially different to have a parent who is such a public figure that you would have 2 weeks of public events. You know, if you think of any mourning period, you know, one week getting to a funeral is hard. But these 2 weeks of, you know, having people come to Rainbow Push last week for 2 days here, traveling across the country. They stopped in Nashville, Tennessee, so that people could see him there, going on to South Carolina, his home state, and where he was able to lie in state. You know, this place that is so steeped in the Confederacy, you know, that he would come back around to lie in state in a building that wouldn't recognize him at some point in time in life is really amazing how far we have come. But of course, that's a lot for the family. You know, Reverend Jackson would say that these things are for the living, you know. He has made his mark. He has done great things in this world, in this country, and that's why so many people are lining up, as we see, and waiting for the moment to share with the family. But the family is still sharing him with the world. So first and foremost, I wanted to talk to him just about that. You know, he's humbled by seeing this outpouring of support. It has been a lot for them, as you can tell. His voice was pretty weak as we were speaking, but he really talked about his father's humor in some of the harder times, even, you know, the times it may seem a little, you know, morbid for some. But one of the things I even put on my social media from our interview was when he said, when they were leaving the hospital, of course, we covered his time in the hospital not so long ago. We knew that he was not in his, you know, that he was coming to his final days at that point in time. But of course, no man knows the day nor the hour. And when they were leaving the hospital, Dr. J, Mama Jackson, you know, said, "We're getting ready to go home." And he said, "That's my address. That's not my home. My home is in heaven." Wow. You know, I mean, we were losing him at that time, and this was months ago, and those were his words. I know
it makes you emotional.
It's hard to hear that, but that's where his mind was preparing his family for the transition, and now preparing the country for this transition. So it's a hard time, but it's also a beautiful moment. You know, there will be a celebration. Today is a celebration, and I know that they're going to want people to focus on that today.
Yeah, and that's why it feels wrong not to smile, right? You need to have a smile on your face.
Absolutely.
Everyone gets this opportunity.
Part of me is like relieved that they did. Can you remember the Washington service? It was, I mean, I'm wondering if the whole situation in Iran, because they were going to have to make a stop, South Carolina,
it's been
Washington.
Postponed, right.
And that's been postponed, but there's part of me that's like, gosh, given what you heard, it's a lot. It's a lot for them. And I know the whole country is grateful to them for sharing sharing Reverend Jackson with all of us over these last couple weeks. All right, stay with us. As we mentioned, doors open at 9 o'clock at House of Hope with the service starting at 11, and you can catch everything as it is happening right here on Fox32Chicago.com and, of course, on Fox Local.
And Caitlin, we're seeing these live pictures of people, you know, waiting in line in front of House of Hope. And is that rain going to wait off at least until maybe hopefully afternoon?
This line of rain and storms is moving east around 50 miles per hour. So unfortunately, this first round is going to be here early. We have additional showers and storms expected throughout the day, too. So a hiccup in forecast expected in Chicagoland today, start to finish, really. Right now, we do have gusty winds up to about 40 miles per hour. Pea-sized hail has been reported in portions of DeKalb County are possible, now moving into Kane County. Heavy downpours associated with these thunderstorms that are chugging on in. Let's take a closer look as I stop the loop. You can see where the rain is coming down heaviest. So Lake County, we have some thunderstorm activity from just east of Fox Lake, stretching down into northern portions of Cook County. McHenry County getting hit the heaviest with the heavy downpours. Crystal Lake, you have heavy rain moving on in right now. Let's take a look further south where you can see Kane County, as mentioned, getting in on that thunderstorm activity with hail not out of the question, pea size. And then we get even further south, DeKalb County, your heaviest rain is starting to move east. Southeastern portions of DeKalb County being hit hard. Northern half of LaSalle County, Northville, you're getting in on the heavy thunderstorm activity too. And this is just the first round. Notice we have more rain just west of this first line of thunderstorms moving in. We are going to have the potential, as mentioned, for thunderstorms even in this afternoon, tonight, into early tomorrow. Looking at our futurecast, 3:30, and our model is keeping most of that rain from Chicago points north early. We'll see if that line doesn't hold together. But into early tomorrow, we have our second round of thunderstorms moving on through, and then we have drier skies expected by midday on Saturday. Temperatures this weekend are going to be in the 60s, but today it will be very mild. Upper 60s, low 70s are expected. We'll take a look at your full 70 forecast. Coming up, stay with us.
always fight for you.
All right, welcome back. It's 8:41. Here's a look at some of the top stories we are following today.
Of course, as Chicago is saying goodbye to civil rights legend Reverend Jesse Jackson, we're expecting a lot of big names at today's service at House of Hope, as we've been telling you, including former presidents Barack Obama, Joe Biden, and Bill Clinton, as well as J.B. Pritzker, Mayor Brandon Johnson. Our team is there, and we'll have you covered all morning long.
Operation Epic Fury now entering day 7 overseas here. U.S. Central Command says that American forces have hit more than 2,000 targets inside Iran, and the regime's ballistic missile strikes are down 90% since Iran started retaliating over the weekend. Iran's foreign minister says there are no talks to end the fighting, even as President Trump says Iranians are asking for a deal. Trump had explained in an interview with Axios that he wants to be involved, that he has to be involved in selecting Iran's next leader.
The family of a man shot and killed by police in Carroll Stream is reportedly getting a more than $9 million settlement. Police shot 30-year-old Isaac Goodloe III in February of 2024. This was during a confrontation at his apartment. Goodloe's family says officers use excessive force, but DuPage County prosecutors did not charge that officer.
Chicago police are warning businesses on the south and west sides of the city after a series of smash and grab burglaries this week. Angelo's Stuffed Pizza is one of the businesses that got hit. Surveillance cams there captured the thieves breaking the glass on the front door, jumping over the counter to get into the registers. The owner says the thieves got away with thousands of dollars.
Some cameras that we use for our photos for our social media, laptops. At the end of the day, I'm a father. My family works here, so their safety is my priority as well. So, you know, it's frustrating. It's not something that makes us feel good.
Police are calling this a coordinated series of crimes. They're looking for 4 people, and they're also looking for a black Infiniti sedan that they say was used as the getaway car.
Capital One is laying off hundreds of workers in Illinois. The company tells Cranes the cuts affect 532 workers at the former Discover headquarters in River Woods and 69 employees who live in Illinois but work remotely. The company is laying off more than 1,700 people nationwide. Now, the cuts are reportedly tied to Capital One's $35 billion acquisition of Discover in February of 2024.
Illinois is joining more than 20 other states in suing the Trump administration over tariffs. The group of Democratic-led states argue that the president is overstepping his power. Last month, the Supreme Court struck down tariffs imposed under the International Emergency Economic Powers Act. And the president then said he would use a different law to levy new tariffs.
Joliet's Plan Commission has approved plans for a data center in the city. If it passes the full council, the development will be the largest in the state. The proposal calls for the data center to be built on nearly 800 acres of farmland on Joliet's east side. Now, supporters say it'll generate thousands of jobs and boost the local economy, but opponents argue it's going to require huge amounts of water and electricity, which could raise utility prices for people across the city.
Joliet has a generational opportunity in front of it to attract a major long-term investment that can create jobs, strengthen the tax base, and signal that Joliet is open for responsible growth.
These are mega rich people. They're not here doing charitable acts for us. They're not coming from Virginia. They're not coming from Texas because they love Joliet. I'm here because I love Joliet, and I don't want our utility bills to go up.
Data center proposal goes before the full city council on March 16th.
All right, 8:46. Let's check it back in with Caitlin for how our Friday is playing out here. I see some activity on that radar.
A lot to discuss. Yeah, we've got the fog in place, first of all. If you looked out the window and it looks gray, we do have a dense fog advisory in place for Chicagoland until 10. But also, we have rain and thunderstorms moving on in. So thunderstorm activity currently from Lake County stretching down into Kane County, DeKalb County, LaSalle County, McHenry County, County covered with rain showers, lightning. I have had reports that there could be some pea-sized hail associated with this line of storms, and also wind up to about 40 miles per hour. This is our first round of many expected between now and tomorrow morning. We do have the potential for rain and thunderstorms lasting throughout the afternoon this evening and into early tomorrow, but the temperatures are fantastic. Temperatures around noon will be at 58 degrees. Then the upper 60s are expected by 3. We could be tagging 70 degrees today. But we do have the chance for a few strong to severe thunderstorms. Looking at our Storm Prediction Center's map for today, we do have that slight risk in yellow, level 2 of 5, and also a level 1 of 5 from Chicago Point south. So we could see all hazards at play if we have severe weather today. 7-day forecast, temperatures are dropping this weekend, but it's still going to be pleasant. 64 tomorrow is our high, dropping down as we progress throughout the day because the cold front is going to bring us the additional chance for rain and storms early Saturday. Sunday will be beautiful, a high of 61, and then we're back to almost 70 on Monday with the chance for rain returning Tuesday and Wednesday. Temperatures starting off mild at the beginning of the week, and then we slowly drop back down to the 40s by the end of the week. It is 8:47. We have so much more ahead. Stay with us.
Dr. Tom. And I approve this ad.
All right, let's take a live look right outside House of Hope where, oh, I'm sorry, this is not a live look, but you can see the casket arriving there. This was a short time ago. 10 minutes, that is when doors will open at that huge facility. It seats thousands of people as today Chicago says goodbye to a civil rights legend. We are going to be live at these services all morning long. Huge group outside House of Hope right now waiting to get in for these homegoing services.
And it seems to be a good time because that weather is coming in.
Yes.
So hopefully they can get inside. But, you know, rain or shine, of course, people are going to be standing out there to appreciate and honor Reverend Jesse Jackson.
Yeah, look at that line. They're all there. And yeah, they're not getting rained on just yet. As we, Caitlin showed us the incoming business on the radar. So you're right, Gabby. Good timing on that. And hopefully they can get inside before too long. Jesse Jackson having passed away last month after a long battle with a neurodegenerative disease. He also was diagnosed with Parkinson's. He passed away at the age of 84. Huge names, Gabby, expected at this funeral.
Big time, including former presidents, Barack Obama, Joe Biden, Bill Clinton we're hearing. Of course, our Governor J.B. Pritzker and Mayor Brandon Johnson. Our team is there right now, and we will have you covered all morning long. So please stay with us here and also on Fox Local as well. We'll have recaps throughout the day as well. 8:51, we have to get to some other news, too. The CTA has 2 weeks to submit a new safety plan to the Federal Transit Administration or risk losing $50 million in funding. The agency says CTA isn't doing enough to protect riders. We've covered several high-profile crimes in the last couple of months. 2 of them were on the Blue Line alone. You'll remember this. One when a man set a woman on fire. Another where a man stabbed a woman to death. Now, we spoke with the group of Violence Interrupters. They've been riding the CTA for months, de-escalating incidents at risk of turning violent.
You need people that understand the population of individuals that board the trains. That's most important. You got to have people on them trains that know how it looks. You know how it looks when a person is about to commit an act of violence. So my thing is, once you get the right individuals on the train that know how to communicate and network with that population, you'll be okay.
CTA has until March 19th to submit a revised safety plan.
Neighbors of the Obama Center, a group of them in Woodlawn, say that rising rents are forcing them out of their homes. Tenants at the Cheney Braggs apartments rallied yesterday outside the corner of 65th and Stony. They say a buyer from California wants to gut or even tear down that building. The property went into foreclosure back in 2023 and now has a court-appointed receiver making repairs. Even though the building has to say low-income housing until 2032, rents could still go up to a what's called the IHDA cap, which some of the tenants say they cannot afford, even though they have been there close to 40 years.
We have contributed to this community. We have put in good faith in this community. We go to church in this community. Our kids go to school here. Our kids play here. We go to the park. The field house is right down the street. So yes, I want to stay. I want to stay right where I'm at.
The tenants formed a union 2 years ago after the last landlord left, and they teamed up with the city to keep services going and found out about the buyer, who is supposedly offering $2,000 to those residents to get them, or at least try to get them, to move out.
Chicago's 3 largest animal welfare groups are backing the mayor's pick to lead Chicago's animal care and control. Susan Capello spent 3 years as acting director before she got this permanent job. But remember, several aldermen are now demanding the mayor launch a national search instead. They're citing high euthanasia rates, and they claim shelter conditions are neglected and they endanger dogs, cats, and volunteers. But Pause Chicago, Anti-Cruelty, and Treehouse say they support Capello and argue the aldermen have no idea what they're talking about.
The challenges that Sue faces at ACC are structural and resource-driven rather than a matter of leadership. Sue's done a great job with life-saving despite all of these challenges. Chicago operates on a $7.7 million budget in 2025. And thanks to Mayor Johnson, he has increased it for 2026 by $700,000. Comparable major cities average $26 million a year. Chicago ranks the last funding and the last per capita funding in the country, despite having the 3rd largest population.
The animal groups also announced a new program that will provide social workers at CACC to help families and animals. They say new programs under Capello's leadership will only help lower euthanasia rates.
All right, as AI takes a seat in the classroom, educators, parents, and experts are debating its benefits and the risks as well. In Lakeshore East, the former GEMS Academy will soon be home to Alpha School for grades pre-K through 8. Launched in Texas in 2014, it's a private school, and it replaces traditional teachers with human guides and AI tutors. The rest of the day shifts into life skills and leadership workshops. They do classes about financial literacy, and of course they have physical activity as well.
I think a lot of people are nervous and wary about what artificial intelligence looks like in education, and the Alpha model is really showing that artificial intelligence is allowing us to raise human intelligence, both academically, but also by providing more time for that human connection.
All right, using AI in schools, as you can imagine, does not come without controversy.
Schools is the computer that's delivering the instruction.
The computer does not think without AI is thinking. No, it's not. It's algorithm.
The approach comes with a hefty price tag as well. In Chicago, tuition would cost $55,000 a year when it opens in the fall.
Okay, we actually have some breaking news to share with people before we end here. There's a ground stop at O'Hare right now, and it's because of the weather, or at least the weather incoming. I mean, you can see why as you look outside right now. The FAA says that's in place until at least 9:30 this morning. We'll keep you updated as we do learn some more.
Yeah, okay, so another half hour to contend with that. Stay with us right here on Good Day Chicago at 9 o'clock. Doors to House of Hope are about to open 3 minutes from right now for Reverend Jesse Jackson's funeral. Our live coverage of that continues up next.